to the prison of shadows. What if the walls could scream? What if the iron bars, the echoing hallways, and the crumbling stone could whisper the truth about what happened behind them? Welcome to Eastern State Penitentiary, once a revolutionary prison, now a decaying fortress of fear. Located in the heart of Philadelphia, this place was supposed to reform criminals through silence and isolation. But instead, it became a breeding ground for madness, despair, and death. And according to countless visitors, paranormal investigators, and former guards, it never stopped punishing those who stepped inside. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Eastern State Penitentiary is called America's most haunted prison, the birth of a new kind of hell. Let's rewind to the 1820s. America was looking for a new way to deal with criminals. Beating them into submission wasn't working. Public hangings only brutalized the crowds. So Pennsylvania launched an experiment, a prison that would fix the soul through isolation. Thus, Eastern State Penitentiary was born in 1829, designed by architect John Haviland, like a Gothic castle meets church. It had high stone walls, skylit cells, and a central rotunda that resembled a cathedral. But it wasn't a place of salvation. Prisoners were locked in their cells 23 hours a day. No talking, no visitors, no sound. Their only contact with the world was through a tiny food slot. Some prisoners went insane. Others tried to kill themselves just to end the silence. This wasn't rehabilitation. This was sensory deprivation at its most extreme. And it left behind more than broken men. Some say it left behind spirits. The torture behind the silence. The silence wasn't just enforced, it was punished. Guards used brutal tactics to control inmates, methods that today would be called torture. The iron gag was one of the worst. A metal device clamped onto the tongue, chained to the wrists behind the back. If you moved, your tongue ripped. The water bath was another horror. Prisoners dunked in freezing water and hung on a wall outside in winter, left to nearly freeze to death. And don't forget the mad chair, where inmates were strapped down for days without food or movement. Circulation cut off, limbs turning black. It wasn't just the architecture that was cold, it was the entire ideology. And many believed that the pain inflicted here created residual energy that never left. If ghosts exist anywhere, it's here. The echoes of Al Capone. You've heard of Al Capone, the most notorious gangster in American history. What you might not know is he did time here. In 1929, Capone was sentenced to a year in Eastern State, but he didn't get your average cell. His was carpeted. He had a radio, fine furniture, even art on the walls. But comfort didn't save him. Guards reported Capone screaming in the night, claiming he was being haunted by the ghost of a man he had murdered. James Jimmy Clark. He begged to be left alone. He looked visibly shaken. Even Capone's tough exterior couldn't stand up to the horrors of Eastern State. Was it guilt, madness, or was Jimmy Clark really there? The ghost that refused to leave. Over the decades, visitors, staff, and paranormal investigators have documented terrifying encounters. Cell Block 12. Loud, echoing laughter. Disembodied voices. Metal doors slamming on their own. Cell Block 4. Shadows dart across the walls, even when there's no light source. Death row, cold spots, screams. The feeling of being watched or touched by invisible hands. One former guard claimed he saw a dark figure standing at the end of a hallway, only for it to vanish as he approached. A visitor once fainted near Cell 6 and claimed something had whispered in her ear in a language she didn't understand. Ghost hunting shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures have recorded EVP, electronic voice phenomena, that include cries for help, whispers, and even names. This isn't just folklore. There are hundreds of recorded cases of paranormal activity, each one more bone-chilling than the last. Halloween nights and haunted attractions. Today, Eastern State is a historic site open for tours during the day. But when the sun sets, it transforms into one of the most famous haunted attractions in the world. Terror behind the walls. actors roam in full costume, screams echo down long-forgotten hallways. But some visitors report that not all the screams are fake. Some guests say they've been grabbed. Others claim to see real apparitions in between the actors. Imagine walking through a haunted house, only to realize you're not alone, and the thing watching you doesn't work here. The science versus the supernatural skeptics say it's all just suggestion. Old buildings creak, shadows move, people get scared in dark places. But that doesn't explain the EVP recordings, the consistent activity in the same locations, or the people who've left the prison crying, unable to finish the tour. Even scientists who've investigated the site admit there's a heavy feeling here, something oppressive, something unexplainable. Is it the weight of history, or is it the weight of spirits that haven't moved on? The spirits speak or scream before we wrap up. Consider this. Eastern State was shut down in 1971, abandoned, rotting, but never silent. Photographers and urban explorers who snuck in during the 70s and 80s brought back photos of what they claimed were ghostly figures. White mists, glowing orbs, and shadowy silhouettes standing in doorways. One photo even appeared to show a man in a guard uniform, standing in a cell block that had been sealed for years. The prison might have closed, but the souls inside? Some say they never left. Would you spend the night here? So now you know the legend, the truth, and the terror of Eastern State Penitentiary. Do you believe the spirits of tortured inmates still haunt its walls? Would you walk the halls of cell block 12 alone? Would you dare spend a night locked inside? Let us know in the comments what you believe. And if you've ever visited, share your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more haunted histories, real-life horror, and terrifying tales from the shadows of time. Because the past doesn't stay buried, especially when the dead refuse to rest.